Please be seated. MP Omia.
B1338, please.
Yes, Mr. Speaker. Relocation of methadone dispensing. I'm sorry. Yeah. Yes. Mr. Speaker, sir, in following government's approval, my ministry has initiated action to conduct a survey on the determinants and consequences of abortion in Mauritius. Abortion is a significant health concern. According to the WHO, about 210 million pregnancies occur annually, with roughly 130 million live births and a third ending in miscarriage, stillbirth, or induced abortion. Among the estimated 42 million abortions each year, nearly 20 million are unsafe, causing around 47,000 maternal deaths, representing 13% of all pregnancy-related deaths. Accurately defining and tracking unsafe and induced abortions is crucial for monitoring progress in women's reproductive health. The National Policy on Sexual and Reproductive Health 2022-2027, prepared and launched by my ministry last year, highlights concerns regarding abortion. These include unsafe abortions causing complications, inadequate reporting of induced abortion cases, and lack of detailed data on different abortion types. The national policy document recommends conducting research to pinpoint triggers of unsafe abortion, including age groups and other relevant factors. Mr. Speaker, sir, the objective of the survey is to find out the key determinants leading to abortion and to assess the consequences thereof, and this would be pursued through the following specific objectives: determine the factors leading to abortion among females of reproductive age, determine the extent of illegal and unsafe abortion, along with the reasons behind it, assess the knowledge, perceptions, and attitudes on abortion, assess the consequences of abortion in regard to health and socio-economic aspects, and capture data for possible trend analysis. The study will focus on a target population comprising a sample of at least 30 females who experienced spontaneous or induced abortion in 2022 and sought treatment for abortion-related complications with the public health care sector. This study will involve interviewing the female participants after the consent as per a prepared questionnaire, which will cover the following: knowledge on abortion, determinants of abortion, types of abortion, magnitude of illegal abortion, short and long-term consequences of abortion, and access to health care service. Mr. Speaker, sir, I further wish to inform the House that many potential gains are expected from this study, namely identifying the trend of known factors and consequences of abortion in Mauritius, as well as determining the magnitude of new elements related to abortions, designing comprehensive recommendations to improve strategies to reduce the detrimental effects of unsafe abortion on an individual, family, and society at large, and minimizing the financial burden associated with complications arising from unsafe abortions, contributing to a more cost-effective healthcare system in line with the vision of this government.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Minister mentioned key determinants, rightly so. And one of the most sought after abortifacient drugs, particularly misoprostol, which I understand is used and licensed in this country for gastritis. Will the minister, in the light of looking how to diminish illegal termination of pregnancy, ensure that this medication becomes a controlled drug under the appropriate schedules, since its use is solely for its side effect rather than its medicinal purpose?
Yes, Mr. Speaker, sir, I agree with the honourable member. Now, I believe after the study, we will come to know more about the determinants of abortion and the medication that used, and whatever would be the recommendations of the study, I believe there one way of controlling the use of this medication is through imposing some kind of restriction, and will follow whatever will be the recommendation after the study. Yes, I think that is correct.
Thank you. You also mentioned in your answer a questionnaire will be provided to all participants of the survey. May I ask you whether it would be feasible that this questionnaire contains information as to access of those habitual practitioners who indulge into criminal abortion and access of pharmacies that illegally bring by backdoor abortifacient drugs, and once you have the information, firm action is taken by your ministry to ensure that they are taken to task. Thank you.
Yes, I think that this is also correct, that we have, if this medication is being prescribed by medical practitioner or by pharmacists delivering this medication, so there should be some kind of mechanism, because we have seen in the past how many women have lost their lives of self-induced, and I think that would be somehow we have to control the medication and take to task whether it is the practitioners or the pharmacy who is involved in selling these medication. I believe this is correct, and we also have to put a lot of emphasis on and informing the public at large, especially young women, what is going to be the consequences of inducing abortion through medication or through any other means, so that we will be able to address the issue of abortion correctly.
Next question.
B1339.
I'm informed that there are currently 3 assistant instructors / instructors in permanent and pensionable employment at the Training and Employment of Disabled Persons Board, TEDPB, namely Mrs. B, Mrs. P, and Mrs. S. At the very outset, I wish to inform the House that the 3 persons were employed on a contractual basis prior to being offered employment on a permanent and pensionable basis. All the 3 instructors joined on contract at different periods of time with different salaries. In 2010, the TEDPB decided to advertise for the post of assistant instructors on a permanent and pensionable basis. Mrs. P was selected as she was the only candidate possessing the required qualification, that is, a school certificate, and like Mrs. B and Mrs. S, who did not have a school certificate. Mrs. P assumed duty as assistant instructor on a permanent and pensionable basis on 30th September 2010 with a basic salary of 9,400 instead of 7,825, which she was deriving on contract. I'm further informed that as at date, Mrs. P is drawing a basic salary of 23,025. I have been further informed subsequently in March 2014, on the recommendation of Cabinet, the scheme of service was amended. A first intake note was inserted in the second internal advertisement so that persons who have been performing the duties of assistant instructor at the TEDPB for a period of at least 10 years could be considered for the post, although they did not possess the required qualifications. Consequently, on 19th November 2014, the board decided to appoint Mrs. B and Mrs. S on establishment and to continue paying them the salary they were drawing at the material time, instead of 12,000 rupees 175 as per POB report 2013. The salaries of Mrs. B and Mrs. S were at that material time 17,380 and 13,130 respectively. With regards to part B of the question, I'm informed that my ministry had a meeting with the Minister of Public Service, Administrative and Institutional Reform on 11th October 2023. It was proposed to align the salaries of Mrs. B and Mrs. S with that of Mrs. B. On 16th October 2023, the Conciliation and Mediation section of the Ministry of Labour was informed of the proposal to align the salaries. However, on 19th October 2023, Mrs. P and Mrs. S has made more and new proposals to the Ministry in the Conciliation and Mediation meeting of the Ministry of Labour. So these new proposals are under consideration, so the next meeting has been fixed to the 7th November this year.
May I know from the Honourable Minister, today, what is the actual salary of Mrs. B and what is the actual salary of Mrs. B?
Mrs. B is earning 31,525 and Mrs. P, you mentioned? Yeah, 23,025.
So Mrs. P, according to your own answer, is more senior. She has joined establishments in 2010. She's the only one who had the required qualification, and she's earning significantly less than Mrs. B. She's earning only 23,000 instead of 21,000. May I know from the Honourable Minister, why is that the case?
Yeah, well, I tend to say that in November 2014, the board of TED-PB took the decision to maintain the salaries of P and Mrs. S instead of giving them the salary of 12,175 as per the salary scale of the POB report 2013. So we are in the mess because of the decision that has been taken at that particular time, and we at the level of the ministry, we are taking positive steps to resolve the issue, but you will agree with me, it is taking time because we have to get to the bottom of the issue to be able to clear the whole mess.
Last question. Would the ministry consider backdating the pay to if ever there is an alignment of all the salary as it should be between all the members performing the same task of assistant, instructor, and instructor?
Well, this does not rest on whether I am agreeable or not. So there is a committee which is looking into the whole issue. As I have said, we are having meetings with the Ministry of Labour, Ministry of Public Service, my ministry, and SLO. So let them come to the proper conclusions. We have to wait for their conclusions. We would have put an end to the whole mess, but unfortunately, Mrs. P has made further recommendations. So we have to take into consideration her recommendations, look into all the recommendations carefully, analyze all the recommendations. So I leave it to the committee to decide.
Next question.
1342.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I am informed that the incident pertaining to the case of baby GC, aged 3 months, at Princess Barbie Child Daycare Center in Stanley, Roselle, had been reported to my ministry by the police department on the 2nd of October this year. I am further informed that the Princess Barbie Child Daycare Center was operating illegally and was not known to my ministry at that point in time. The police inquiry on this case is still ongoing. As regards part B of the question, Mr. Speaker, sir, my ministry provided for psychological support to the bereaved family, and the illegal child daycare center has been closed down.
Je vous remercie, Monsieur le Président. Cela fera bientôt 48 mois que la ministre est en poste. Seulement 175 garderies ont été enregistrées. À ce rythme, il faudra attendre 2 ou 3 décennies pour régulariser toutes les crèches dans notre pays. Monsieur le Président, selon mes informations, le ministère a convoqué les parents du nourrisson le 17 octobre 2023, soit 15 jours après le décès de leur enfant. C'est très regrettable de constater le manque d'humanité envers des parents. Je suis sûre que vous êtes très sensible. Un nourrisson a perdu la vie, Monsieur le Président.
This is not the point. The point is question time. Supplementary question should be specific and straightforward. You look for information.
Très bien. Alors, Monsieur le Président, la ministre peut-elle informer la Chambre si elle estime acceptable ce délai de 15 jours après le décès?
Mr. Speaker, sir, the PQ is a very specific PQ regarding the circumstances, the illegal operation of that daycare center, and the measures taken pending completion of the inquiry. I have answered to both Part A and Part B of the question. Should the honourable member wish to bring a specific question about the parents, she is most welcome to do so.
A specific question, no statement.
Je vous remercie, Monsieur le Président.
I like your smile.
Thank you. La ministre vient tout juste de nous informer que la famille aurait reçu des services d'une psychologue. Alors, selon mes renseignements, la psychologue aurait dit aux parents « Pénant solution miracle, business laisse les temps suivre ce cours et si, dans 3 mois, situation pas améliorée, prends contact au ministère. » La ministre est-elle d'accord? Oui, I'm quoting. La ministre est-elle d'accord avec le fait qu'aucun service de soutien psychologique ait été proposé aux parents après un tel traumatisme, juste après l'incident?
Mr. Speaker, sir, I would really like the honourable member to table what she has just quoted from. And I also wish to inform the House, Mr. Speaker, sir, that let's not make mistake about this. The safety of our children remains a prime concern of this government and my ministry. And to ensure that quality services are being offered to our children across the child daycare centres, this government, my ministry, has introduced the child daycare centre regulations. We are talking about...
What is happening? You may continue.
Yes. Those child daycare centre regulations are being implemented since January 2022. Whenever there are cases of ill treatment of children in our child daycare centres, Mr. Speaker, sir, whenever these are reported, the assistance of the police is also sought to conduct an inquiry. I also wish to point out to the House that there is a multifaceted strategy that has been put in place to ensure the safety of our children in those centres. There are the offices of my ministry, as well as the offices of the Social Welfare Division, together with the police, together with the Ombudsperson Office, the Office of the Ombudsperson for Children. We are conducting operations to track down those child daycare centres that are operating illegally. To keep the population informed, there is a list, an updated list of registered and deregistered child daycare centres on the website of my ministry. Mr. Speaker, sir, I refer the honourable member to the statement I made in Parliament regarding the situation of child daycare centres last week in the House. I refer her back to the statement. Enrolling a child, Mr. Speaker, sir, in a crèche is not just a question of adhering to the regulations I am speaking about. It is a testament to the commitment of the child's well-being. So I, again, take the opportunity to urge parents to check whether the child daycare centre that they're enrolling their child in is in fact registered and compliant to the regulation, the child daycare regulations of 2022.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Sir, B1343.
Mr. Speaker, sir, the National Youth Civic Service, NYCS, is a 12-week-long program that was announced in the 2018-2019 budget speech and was launched by my ministry in 2019 in collaboration with the Human Resource Development Council, HRDC, with the objective to empower our youth. The NYCS program was introduced in Rodrigues in 2020. In the financial year 2022-2023, several activities were held in the context of the NYCS program. First, in order to make the NYCS program more familiar to our youth in Rodrigues, the 9 modules have been reviewed and have been adapted to the Rodriguan context. Second, 50 young people enrolled themselves in the NYCS program from July to November 2022. All successful participants have been paid a stipend of 5,000 rupees each. Third, a 2-day training session was held in May 2023 at Citron Denis Youth Center to equip 13 youth cadres from the Youth Commission of Rodrigues and educators with the necessary skills to work with youth with disabilities. In that same month, 40 trainers and resource persons, together with the staff of the Commission for Youth of Rodrigues, attended a 2-day training course whose aim was to provide the attendees with the required skills to better engage with millennials. Fourth, a certificate presentation ceremony was held in May 2023 at Montplaisir in favor of the aforementioned 50 NYCS beneficiaries, the 13 youth cadres and educators, and 40 trainers and resource persons. Mr. Speaker, sir, in respect of the financial year, I wish to inform the House that, first, we are targeting no less than 125 young Rodriguans to get enrolled in the NYCS program. This includes 40 youngsters from the technical school known as Atelier du Savoir in Malabar, 15 youth with disabilities, 45 unemployed youth, and 25 athletes. The expected start dates for the aforementioned cohorts is as follows. 1. Atelier du Savoir, December 2023. 2. Youth with disabilities, February 2024. And 3. Unemployed youth and athletes, April 2024. It should be noted that the cohort of 40 young Rodriguans who completed the NYCS program in August 2023 will be paid their stipends by the end of November 2023. Second, several capacity building sessions and workshops are scheduled as follows. 1. In December of this year, meetings will be held with stakeholders in Rodrigues for the implementation of NYCS programs to favor youth with disabilities and with sports coaches in view of enrolling our athletes. Working sessions will also be conducted with the police to include substance abuse prevention and road safety in the National Youth Civic Service Program. In February 2024, in collaboration with the French Embassy, 15 creative coaches and resource persons will be trained in acculturation numérique. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Can I ask the Honourable Minister what his ministry is doing in terms of marketing so as to reach a maximum amount of youth in Rodrigues to this program?
Yes, Mr. Speaker, sir. It is important that the youth from Rodrigues become aware of this program. And as such, there are, with the Commission for Youth in Rodrigues, there are several communiques that will pass on radio, on the MBC News, Facebook pages. We will work in straight collaboration with the Rodrigues Regional Youth Council, also through the networks in different youth centers in Rodrigues, And I know also that in Rodrigues, the youth leaders, they have a WhatsApp group, so there will be messages forwarded to them. Posters also will be placed in youth-friendly places. And of course, Mr. Speaker, sir, I rely on both Honorable Leopold and Honorable François to disseminate information in Rodrigues in favor of young Rodriguans.
Next question.
B1344.
Mr. Speaker, sir, Creole Mauricien was introduced in grade 10 as an optional subject in academic year 2021-2022 for students who sat for KM as an optional core subject for the National Certificate of Education. This year, the first cohort of candidates, comprising 182 students, is sitting for Creole Mauricien assessment papers conducted by the National Examination Board. This end-of-cycle assessment will lead to a national school certificate in KM awarded by the University of Mauritius. Mr. Speaker, sir, tremendous efforts were made to ensure that students pursue their studies in KM. These efforts have culminated into the current sitting of KM as a historic first at the National School Certificate level, and successful candidates will be awarded a school certificate in KM pitched at level 3 of the National Qualification Framework. Mr. Speaker, sir, it's important to highlight that this progress and achievement in KM certification has been a long road which has been carefully planned and prepared for the successful outcome of the National School Certificate in KM. The MIE and the University of Mauritius have worked on the development of the curriculum, educational resources, and textbooks. My ministry has set up a technical committee comprising representatives of my ministry, the University of Mauritius, the Mauritius Institute of Education, the Mauritius Examination Syndicate, and the National Examination Board to assess our readiness for the introduction of KM in the first place at advanced subsidiary level and subsequently at advanced level. Mr. Speaker, sir, the availability of an adequate number of educators to teach the subject at grade 12 remains an imperative. Mr. Speaker, sir, the introduction of KM at grade 12, advanced subsidiary level, is envisaged, but we have to first build up experience at the school certificate level and carefully evaluate the performance of students. We are only at the first sitting of the National School Certificate in KM this year. We must engage in a thorough evaluation and monitoring of this assessment, gauge the performance of students, and ensure that we put in place the building blocks for a successful growth towards the introduction of KM at AS and subsequently at AL level. Curriculum development is being effected at the level of the MIE and the University of Mauritius. The training of an adequate number of educators to teach KM at grade 12 level remains another important aspect that needs our attention. Mr. Speaker, sir, I'm confident that the House will understand that it is only through a careful planning and capacity building that we would be able to move confidently ahead.
Monsieur le Président, le créole mauricien a été introduit en grade 1 depuis 2012, soit 11 ans de cela. Gouverner, c'est prévoir. La ministre ne pense-t-elle pas qu'il était prévisible que les étudiants allaient prendre le créole mauricien comme matière principale dans les prochains examens de la HSI?
Monsieur le Président, nous savons que nous avons affaire là à des jeunes et nous sommes en train de parler des examens. Il nous faut vraiment assurer que l'évaluation est du niveau requis et c'est pour cela que nous sommes en train de tread cautiously et nous voulons qu'une fois terminés, ces examens ont le niveau qu'il faut et ont bien sûr la reconnaissance que nous voulons pour les élèves ayant pris ces sujets au niveau de la School Certificate, tout comme plus tard au niveau du High School Certificate. Nous avons fait un gros travail. Nous savons qu'on a eu plusieurs difficultés au cours des années, mais nous avons fait de sorte à ce que le sujet puisse être introduit au niveau du School Certificate et nous avons même été au-delà de cela en mettant sur pied le National Examination Board.
La ministre pourrait-elle affirmer quand exactement est-ce que les étudiants pourront prendre cette matière comme sujet principal au niveau HSC?
Monsieur le Président, je viens d'expliquer qu'il y a un travail qui se fait. Il y a un travail qui se fait au niveau du comité. Ils sont en train de travailler sur le curriculum. Il va devoir aussi venir avec suffisamment de littérature au niveau du créole mauricien dans le standardized form de la langue.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Sir, B1345.
Order. Order. Deputy Prime Minister.
May I, Mr. Speaker? Thank you. Mr. Speaker, sir, as regards Part A of the question, I wish to inform the House that based on figures compiled by Statistics Mauritius, 901,126 tourists visited Mauritius from 1 January to 30 September 2023, compared to 638,332 tourists during the corresponding period in 2022. In other words, we've moved approximately from 638,000 in 2022 to 901,000 in 2023. Insofar as quote-unquote leading markets are concerned, and I understand that the Honourable Member is here referring to markets which generated the highest number of tourists, for the period January to September 2023, the figures rounded up are as follows. France, approximately 211,000. This is metropolitan France. The United Kingdom, 101,000. Réunion Island, 94,000. Germany, 81,000. South Africa, 73,000. And India, 41,000. Now, these are rounded up figures. And these 6 markets, France, UK, Réunion, Germany, South Africa, and India, taken together account for 2/3 of tourist arrivals. And from the relevant period in 2022 to 2023, we have noted a progression in all 6 markets. With respect to the Part B of the question, I'm informed that latest available figures relating to tourism earnings published by the Bank of Mauritius concern August 2023. Accordingly, I can give the figures from January to August. January to August 2023, tourism earnings amount to 54.7 billion rupees compared to 36.3 billion rupees during the same period in 2022. Now, taking account of inflation, this represents an increase of 36% compared to the same period in 2022.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Sir, allow me to congratulate the Minister and the stakeholders who've worked together for this good performance. Having said so, Mr. Speaker, sir, may we know from the Minister, we have 3 months ahead, October, November, and December, which are considered as being peak period for the tourism industry. May we know from the Minister what is the total expected arrivals for these 3 upcoming months?
That is a very good question, Mr. Speaker, sir, but I don't attempt to predict the future. The October figures should be out pretty soon, and we've had a very good month of October, roughly approximately 100,000 tourists. And if we go by the booking trends for the next 2 months, we will have an excellent period of November, December, which is our high season. We've already, from my reckoning, crossed the 1 million threshold for 2023, so the figures will be significantly higher than 1 million this year. I'm afraid that's all I can do for today.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. From the reply provided by the Honourable Minister, the leading markets, the 6 countries are performing quite well. May we know from the Minister what is the strategy of his ministry to tap other promising markets? Thank you.
Well, very briefly, one of the lessons we've learned from COVID is not to lay all our eggs in one single basket. So the effort to diversify our tourism markets needs to accelerate. In fact, if we consider present-day figures as compared to pre-COVID figures, there has been a very interesting evolution, which shows that while we are consolidating and fully tapping into the traditional markets, which are basically Western Europe and the regional markets of South Africa and Réunion, an increasing number of tourists come from other markets. Now, what other markets are we referring to? The Gulf countries, and in particular the United Arab Emirates and Saudi Arabia, because we have direct air connections with those 2 countries. India has been one of our largest markets. It counts as the 6th most important. But the potential is huge, and I believe we should do and we can do much better on the Indian market. Now, beyond the Gulf countries and India, there are other promising markets. For instance, Russia, with the arrival of Aeroflot flights in the near future, and we are working very hard to re-establish a direct air link with China. So the prospects are very good, the potential is immense, and if the Honourable Member was to come with a substantive question, I would be very happy to give the figures.
B 1347.
Mr. Speaker, sir, with your permission, I wish to refer the Honourable Member to the reply made to the parliamentary question B 652 on 23rd May 2023 by the then Honourable Minister of Public Service, Administrative and Institutional Reform relating to the same subject matter. In that reply, my ministry provided full details on this measure, which was first announced in the PRB report 2008, and thereafter on the different rounds of consultation undertaken with various stakeholders on this issue to ensure its smooth and effective implementation. In view of the wide implication of the proposed measure, consultation, discussions, and meetings have been extensively held. However, in 2020, in the wake of negative impact of COVID-19 pandemic on the public finance, government decided to defer the implementation of the scheme. Mr. Speaker, sir, now that the economy is improving, government is considering the possibility of reviewing the contributory government medical insurance scheme and to take on board all the views and comments received so far on this measure.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Nous parlons ici d'une promesse faite il y a 4 ans de cela, durant le discours du budget 2019-2020, dans le paragraphe 223. Puis-je demander au ministre s'il est en train d'insinuer que le ministre de Finances d'alors et de surcroît l'actuel Premier ministre n'avait pas procédé à des consultations préalables avec les parties prenantes? Est-ce qu'on avait leurré des milliers de fonctionnaires en 2019 en leur faisant croire que can I ask my question? Que le Medical Insurance Scheme est fin prêt pour être implémenté avec un budget de 200 millions. Est-ce que le ministre pourra informer cette Assemblée s'il va implémenter le Medical Insurance Scheme et si oui, quand?
Mr. Speaker, sir, the then president of FCSOU, during a radio interview, termed the medical scheme of government for the public service as bribe electoral. My consultation with several trade unions have shown that there is necessity for such scheme. Furthermore, the intention of the government in 2019 regarding this measure had nothing to do with the electoral bribe, as it is recommended, emanating from the PRB report. The recent ruling of the Privy Council in the measures announced in the electoral manifesto has proven the good intention of the government. Payez avant.
Monsieur le Président, je viens d'écouter la réponse du ministre. Il n'a pas répondu à la question. Est-ce qu'il peut confirmer si l'Union des syndicalistes, surtout des services essentiels, ont été consultés sur le Medical Insurance Scheme et ces frontliners ont littéralement boudé ce scheme et ils ont unanimement souhaité une augmentation de leur monthly risk allowance au lieu d'une health insurance as and when required?
Since I joined the ministry on 30 August 2023, I have made it a point to hold discussions separately with all recognized unions of ministry and departments in order to get their views and comments on a number of issues of interest to the public service. I have already met with 119 out of 310 registered unions, and one of the main expectations trade unionists have expressed is precisely the need for a medical insurance scheme for the public service.
Next question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. B 1348.
Mr. Speaker, sir, relocation of methadone dispensing sites from police stations to healthcare settings is one of the components of a holistic approach to the management of patients with opioid use disorder. In that context, a national protocol, namely the Protocole de prise en charge de l'usage de drogues à Maurice, was elaborated in March 2023 under the guidance of Dr. Mitty, our international consultant, in order to come up with evidence-based, informed management of people who use drugs at large in a comprehensive manner, and also address the issue of methadone dispensing. It's important to ensure that people with opioid use disorder are treated with dignity and respect. Their human rights must be protected. In addition, the practice of methadone dispensing at police station sites can stigmatize people with opioid use disorder. It may also reinforce the idea that people with opioid use disorder are people having issues with the criminal justice system. This can contribute to render it more difficult for them to reintegrate mainstream society. Moreover, this can altogether discourage people from seeking treatment for opioid use disorder. Mr. Speaker, sir, currently, methadone is being dispensed at 24 police station sites, 11 community health centers, 13 area healthcare centers, 2 methadone daycare centers, 5 mediclinics, 2 community sites, 4 hospitals, and 5 points in prison settings, catering for 7,700 beneficiaries daily. The total number of dispensing points of methadone, including police station sites, healthcare settings, community sites, methadone daycare centers, and prison services is 73. As at date, as in certain sites, there are 2 points of dispensing. In order to reduce the number of patients taking their daily dose of methadone in police stations, a gradual decentralization program is being implemented to to move the drug users to healthcare settings as per our new protocol de prise en charge de l'usage de drogue à Maurice. Mr. Speaker, sir, moreover, methadone is dispensed in a very short lapse of time by caravans between 6 in the morning to 8 in the morning. This creates constraints for users and encourages overcrowding, leading to methadone diversion, littering and loitering. Lastly, patients who do not go to a care center have no access to medical consultations, rapid treatment as in the event of complications, and comprehensive psychosocial care. The new protocol enables induction of methadone on an outpatient basis, eliminating waiting lists. A single dose of methadone combined with psychosocial support eliminates cravings and rapidly brings relief, enabling a return to normal life and professional integration. Daily methadone treatment at the island's various healthcare centers only for those who have regained a stable lifestyle and are patients like everyone else. The impossibility of dealing methadone, since it is swallowed in front of a caregiver followed by a glass of water, access to methadone throughout the opening hours of a healthcare center, and the multiplication of centers where methadone can be taken means that patients can spread out their visits over the day and take their treatment closer to home or work. This makes life easier for patients, avoiding crowds. And finally, this method facilitates medical follow-up, enabling the majority of patients to return to normal life and switch to take-home dose after 1 year follow-up, thus freeing up care centers. Mr. Speaker, sir, this method of decentralization of dispensing of methadone, little by little, empty our streets and police stations of drug users, considerably reduce drug dealing, increase the safety of all residents, and treat drug users in a humane, ethical, and effective way, enabling most of them to return to a normal life and the integration. It is in this spirit of protecting our society and treating patients with dignity and efficiency that the dispensing of methadone at the crossing road dispensing takes place. Methadone dispensing at the area healthcare center at Cosigny Road in Cupip has started on 23rd October 2023 with only 6 patients. Like everywhere else, the drug users who come to this center are those who are balanced, stable, they pose no danger to those around them, and would not no one will recognize them among other patients attending this center. Mr. Speaker, sir, I want to point out that a letter was received from the PTA of the said school in Cupip complaining about dispensing of methadone being done thereat. I personally met the members of the PTA and explained to them that only those who have been stabilized are receiving their doses at Cupip Area Healthcare Center, and these patients form part of the working class and should be treated as any other patients.
I thank the Honourable Minister who has explained his policy and why he chose the healthcare centre. In fact, I have asked the question because of the PTA people who came to me. May I ask the Honourable Minister whether he cannot find another venue for the distribution, being given, as he himself says, that the distribution is done between 6 and 8, and we know that school starts more or less at the same after 8. So may I humbly ask the Honourable Minister whether he cannot find another venue, because we know the disruptive behaviour and all the issues which go with distribution of methadone.
Mr. Speaker, sir, no, it's not possible to find another place. It's very, very difficult to have another place for dispensing of methadone. It's going to create more or less the same issue, because at one point of time, the methadone was being given in hospitals and then shifted to police stations, and whether now we have to consider whether those who are on methadone, the methadone beneficiaries, Do we want them to integrate the society, to be treated as normal people, to respect the human rights, or do we want to stigmatize them? So it's totally normal that all those who have been stabilized, they should be given the chance to reintegrate the society and not be left somewhere. So it's very difficult now to create another spot where methadone dispensing is done. So we are, out of those 7,700 beneficiaries, I'm sure that there are many of them who have already been stabilized, who are married, who are going to work, who are having a stable life. So for those, we have to integrate them in the normal healthcare setting. That's how we are proceeding, slowly but surely. Those patients will, at another point of time, their methadone will be dispensed for probably 1 week or 2 weeks, so that's where the take-home dose will come into play. So if we don't do that, so either we keep on giving methadone and just have that stigmatized look at them, or we say no, all those who have integrated the society, we have to get them back to normal life.
The fact, Mr. Speaker, that only 6 patients are concerned. So
Yes.
why can't we shift the 6 to any other center which is in the vicinity?
Exactly.
We're talking about 6 patients and hundreds of children at the school.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, sir. Somewhere we have to start with only those who have been stabilized, going to work, leading a normal life. So the figures are 6. So we have to start there. And obviously, and that will reflect for other methadone beneficiaries to come back and see how this has been done, how these methadone beneficiaries have integrated society. And that's what has been asked by the MPs from this constituency, number 17.
Next question.
B 1349.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, sir. I'm informed that following the public advertisement published on 10th March 2023 for the vacancies in respect of the post of Medical and Health Officer, Senior Medical and Health Officer, the Public Service Commission submitted the names of 73 candidates to be offered appointment as Medical and Health Officer, Senior Medical and Health Officer in a temporary capacity on 5th October 2023. The offers were issued on 10th October 2023 and the candidates were requested to assume duty on 16th October 2023. Mr. Speaker, sir, out of the 73 candidates, 43 accepted the offer and assumed duty on 16th October, 26 accepted the offer but requested for delay in assuming duty, 3 declined the offer, and 1 did not respond to the offer. As a date, a total of 69 candidates have reported their for duty. Out of the 69 candidates, 20 have been posted to Dr. AGG2 Hospital, 4 to Bruno Chong Hospital, 12 to Nehru Hospital, 10 to SSR Hospital, and 23 to Victoria Hospital. With regard to part B of the question, it would not be appropriate for me to disclose names of these medical officers.
May I know from the Honourable Minister the number of doctors who sat for and failed the written examination before the interview?
Mr. Speaker, this is not under my mandate. The examination, for this examination, for the examination of, you have 2 examinations. One is the examination conducted by the Medical Council for registration. That examination is called Medical Registration Examination. And one is the PSC examination conducted by AIMS. So which examination Honourable Member is asking for?
Oof.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I have, this should have come with a specific question. I don't have these answers.
Another question for the Honourable Minister. May I know from the Minister whether the results of selection were leaked before the official sending of the letters to the selected candidates, as I am informed that one doctor
had already resigned from a private hospital 5 days before the official results, bragging she is to be employed by the public service.
No idea, Mr. Speaker, sir. All these information, they are from the Public Service Commission. So Public Service Commission send the letters to the ministry, which henceforth issue the letters.
Next question.
B1350.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I'm informed by the National Housing Development Company Limited, NHDC, that since June 2020 to date, 416 social housing units have been allocated on grounds of special hardship. As concerns the detailed information requested under Part B of the question, I have requested the NHDC that same be compiled, and with your permission, Mr. Speaker, sir, I shall have same placed in the Library of the National Assembly.
Thank you. Hardship cases, I understand, surpasses all other applicants to obtain a housing unit because they are considered special cases, hardship cases. Now, I understand that my question is from January 2020, but the Minister has said June 2020. So January, okay. Can I ask the Honourable Minister, these 416 housing units, what percentage does that represent over the total number of housing units that has been allocated over that same period? If the Minister doesn't have the percentage, what is the number of housing units that has been allocated on this period?
Yes, I thank the Honourable Member. As he knows, I do not act as the CEO or the Chairman of the NHDC, and I've never asked for such information because I trust in my officers at the NHDC and do not interfere in the day-to-day running. Now, I thank the Honourable Gentleman because I've now looked for the information and I asked the very same question. Now, I understand that this number, now these are special hardship cases. I consider all the persons on the waiting list of the NHDC to be hardship cases because they are in need of social housing. The percentage that the 416 represents is around 15 or 16% of the total number allocated. This is the information I have on the basis of the figures.
I look forward to the table that the Minister would submit because to me this is very important. I always understood that it was 10% of housing units which are allocated to hardship, but I understand now this has increased by 50% to 15 to 60%. Any reason for that? Because again, I'm asking this question in the spirit of people who are waiting for many years, do not get a housing unit, but suddenly someone comes as a hardship case and he gets or she gets a housing unit.
I have not been the CEO or the officer in charge of the NHDC, as has the Honourable Gentleman. I have no idea where the percentage of 10% comes from, and I have no idea whether the numbers have evolved, whether the criteria has changed. All I can say is that I fully subscribe to the approach of the NHDC, which is to distinguish persons who are in exceptional situations of immediate and significant hardship so that a particular consideration is given to them. Now, I do not have the exact criteria. I've been told that the criteria relate, for instance, to victims of fire victims, presumably cases which are reported to the police and investigated by the police. I'm informed that this relates to persons, to families where there have been court orders for eviction. I have been informed that it relates to families where there is one of the parents or the sole parent who has a serious, if not terminal, illness. So there are specific criteria to guide the NHDC. But now that the Honourable Gentleman has raised the issue, and it isn't asked in the question, whether what is the percentage and whether there has been an evolution over the years. So if he wishes to put a substantive question, I shall be very happy to inquire and provide the information.
B1352. Thank you. Mr. Speaker, sir, the National Computer Board Act 1988 was repealed and replaced by the Mauritius Digital Promotion Agency Act in June 2023. With the rapid pace of technological change and to ensure accessibility of ICT to the wider segment of the population, there was a need to revamp the institution to the Mauritius Digital Promotion Agency, which would take over the role of the National Computer Board. The activities of the ex-National Computer Board were restricted to conducting training, collaborating with stakeholders in implementing ICT projects, and outreach to citizens. These include activities organized in the context of the Girls in ICT, Digital Maker Program, Cyber Caravan, and Community Empowerment Programs. Mr. Speaker, sir, the Mauritius Digital Promotion Agency, MDPA, through a culture of innovation and adoption of technology, has undertaken new initiatives to empower the institution to reorient its services and expertise towards building innovative capabilities. Namely, the Digital Proficiency course, developed in the collaboration with the University of Mauritius, is an innovative and up-to-date training in replacement of the former IC3 course. The Cyber Caravan project will be completely revamped into the Digital Lab on the Go project. In order to promote emerging technologies, the mobile digital coach will be incorporated with new technologies and virtual concepts such as virtual reality, Internet of Things, and robotics. The institution has been promoting the concept of 3D printing technology for students, university students, and their proof of concepts, and also to micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises. The MDPA has set up 3D printing centers at the Academy of Design and Innovation and the University of Technology Mauritius. As at date, the center has carried out some 6,000 printing services for students and SMMEs. Furthermore, the MDPA will set up a full-fledged 3D design and printing center at its office premises to promote 3D printing technology for students and startups. The MDPA is finalizing national policies on Internet of Things and geographical information system to encourage ministries, departments, and parastatal bodies to use the national platforms for implementing their respective projects. These platforms enable the integration of data from various IoT devices such as smart sensors, smart meters, and other connected devices into a single platform. The collection and analysis of real-time data can be used to monitor and manage infrastructure such as transportation system, water supply, networks, and energy grids. Mr. Speaker, sir, the MDPA will continue promoting digital literacy through the Children Innovative Learning and Design Program in primary schools, and that includes collaboration with the Ministry of Education, Tertiary Education, Science and Technology. The child programs aims at introducing the concept of robotics to upper primary students while equipping them with the required coding capabilities. The program will now be extended to Rodrigues and special education needs schools. To achieve its objective and enable the MDPA to respond more effectively to new national aspirations, the agency also conducts awareness campaigns for the ICT sector, for students and the citizens. These campaigns are intended to stimulate the curiosity and engagement of individuals in the realm of information and communication technology. Mr. Speaker, sir, to further foster an interest in science, technology, engineering and mathematics subjects among students, specialized boot camps on robotics and programming, and 3D printing organized during school holidays for a number of schools. These boot camps not only provide technological and technical knowledge, but also stimulate critical thinking and creativity. Another initiative is the organization of Technologie dans Poté, an ICT-driven initiative aimed at promoting innovation and the adoption of latest technology. This digital outreach project also addresses the digital divide and encourages citizens to utilize government e-services.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. The Honourable Minister, in his reply, mentioned about revamping the IC3 courses with the new technologies, IoT, etc., robotics. Will the Honourable Minister inform the House when these courses will be started again? As we know, the IC3 courses were very popular and had a lot of participation. And what will be the objectives and more details about the new coming courses? Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, so indeed, previously the National Computer Board was running IC3 courses for youngsters and other interested participants, and it had indeed attracted lots of interest with that segment. So the course will be revamped, as I mentioned, into the digital proficiency course, and we are expecting to launch the course sometime like January, February next year. The aim is to enable citizens to become digitally proficient and be empowered with latest digital skills. The mode of delivery for this training will include hybrid and online mode, in addition to face-to-face session. And Mr. Speaker, sir, I'm also informed that the course will have various modules, including IT fundamentals, office productivity tools, online essentials, digital transactions, security, privacy, and the cyber law.
Next. Yes, B1353.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I would refer the Honourable Member to my reply to PQ B388 of the 25th April 2023, wherein I had informed that bid for the project was launched on April 23rd, 2023, with 29th May 2023 as closing date. I'm now informed that following the recommendation of the Central Procurement Board, my ministry had on 18th August 2023 informed all bidders that the bidding exercise has been cancelled in accordance with Section 39 of the Public Procurement Act. I'm further informed that new bidding documents have already been sent to the CPB for vetting, following which the tender documents will be launched again.
Yet again, this bidding exercise is being cancelled. This process of bidding exercise dates back to, if I'm not wrong, maybe 10 years, Mr. Speaker. The last bidding exercise, I recall, was since 2019, and when it was awarded to a contractor, cancelled again, now referring to the last PQ by myself in April this year, bidding exercise were launched. But can I ask the Honourable Minister, why again and again this bidding exercise is being cancelled?
Mr. Speaker, sir, I'm as distressed as the Honourable Member with regards to this project. Honourable Hasnu has been following this project with me for a number of years, I should say, but I must say that we have been very harsh on the officers, and we've been asking them to make sure that things move on smoothly as from now. But as I thank the Honourable Member for having put the question, allowing me to follow up further on this particular project.
Mr. Speaker, but I'm sorry to say, you haven't given a plausible explanation why the tender exercise has been cancelled. Why each time you say you're following the exercise, but I want to know what is the reason.
Mr. Speaker, sir, in July 2023, the Central Procurement Board wrote to the Ministry saying that the documents, there were missing documents in the missing bid documents, and according to Section 39 of the Public Procurement Act, they had to cancel the bidding exercise. But I must say that in spite of the fact that the project started long time back, there were phases 1 and 2, and this is the phase 2 that we are stumbling.
Next question.
B1355.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I am informed that neither my ministry nor the Human Resource Development Council has received any complaint regarding a case of conflict of interest in respect of recent recruitment exercise carried out by the HRDC.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I believe the Minister is right, because I've received a letter which I will table for your consumption, and it is written that you are not aware in the letter, okay? But a copy has been sent. It is about a senior accountant whose daughter has been recruited as clerk, etc. Will the Minister, after receiving this letter, initiate an internal inquiry to find out which is which?
Well, I have to inquire first. If you give me the letter, then needful will be done. Ultimately, if there is a case of conflict of interest.
And may I ask the Honourable Minister whether HRDC has a proper guideline to avert any possible conflict of interest during recruitment exercise or at any point in time during the process of promotion and so on?
Yes, Mr. Speaker.
Next question.
B1356.
Mr. Speaker, sir, the SSRBJ is one of the oldest botanic gardens of the Southern Hemisphere and is one of the most visited attractions in Mauritius. It covers an area of 33 hectares and is managed by the SSR Botanic Garden Trust, enacted in May 1999. The main objectives of the SSR Botanic Garden Trust are to manage the garden, promote the historical, cultural, educational, and recreational value of the garden, together with the protection of the environment and the plant life. Currently, an average of some 600 to 800 visitors, both local residents and tourists, visit the garden on a daily basis. With regard to part A of the question, I wish to inform the House that the board has identified various projects to rejuvenate the garden and for which funds to the tune of 150 million have been earmarked under the National Resilience Fund for 3 years. For this financial year, a sum of 50 million has been provided, and the board of the SSRBJ Trust has accordingly embarked on various projects with the assistance of the Ministry of National Infrastructure and Community Development for the uplifting of the garden. These are mainly renovation of 12 kiosks, removal of existing fencing and fixing of beta fence, asphalting of the alleys, renovation of workshop and nursery office, acquisition of an elevator with platform, purchase of free 6-seater golf cart. Actions are also being initiated for the construction of additional infrastructure, and these include an additional cash office, construction of a new souvenir and visitors center, expansion of the animal corner, reparation of one greenhouse, rehabilitation of all the ponds and canals, construction of a new tool store, rehabilitation of all bridges, the renovation of workers' mess, procurement of a tipper lorry, installation of additional benches, renovation of the old sugar mill model, and reparation of the memorial pond, including fountain and pump house. Furthermore, preliminary design for the upgrading of signage around the garden and the installation of irrigation system are underway. In addition, the SSO BGT would embark on the upgrading of the entrance found near the parking area and the construction of tuck shops to enhance the visual experience of visitors. Actions are also being initiated for the installation of solar lights in the garden. In the coming years, the construction of a new office, additional toilets, and a mini golf corner for kids, a compost plant, and additional security posts, including security camera, would be undertaken. Mr. Speaker, sir, with regard to Part B, I am informed that the garden employs 63 personnel, comprising officers in the technical, administrative, finance, procurement and supply, and general services grade, and these include 43 employees in the worksman group, of which 30 general handiworker and skilled on roster, 3 general workers and 8 handiworkers skilled who are involved in performing manual works such as digging, planting, watering, cleaning, trimming of edges, cutting fodder, lopping of branches, cleaning of ponds, loading and unloading of materials, feeding the animals, carrying out minor repairs, amongst others. The assistance of the Tourism Authority, as well as the Agricultural Services, Forestry Service, and National Parks and Conservation Fund of my ministry are sought as and when for the general cleaning of the garden through overtime, while mowing is done under contractual services. Mr. Speaker, sir, I wish to inform the House that I had a meeting with the chairman and director of the SSRBJ on 11 September 2023, and I effected a site visit on 18 October 2023, along with the director of the SSRBJ and officers of my ministry. Several shortcomings were noticed during the site visit, especially with regard to cleaning and maintenance of the garden. And I propose that in the absence of adequate labor, the trust to have recourse to the services of contract laborers, workers having the required skills and knowledge for carrying out cleaning, maintenance, and various works. I also urge upon the board for additional and more visible directional sign and work towards mitigating all risks and hazards in respect of safety of visitors. I also observe that the various heritage buildings thereat need to be restored, and for which the collaboration of the National Heritage Trust Fund under the aegis of the Ministry of Arts and Culture Heritage be solicited with a view to attracting more visitors and increase revenue. The board, at its last meeting, had approved to go ahead with all the above proposal I made. In the short run, the services of more facilities are being sought for a general cleaning and maintenance of the garden. The board of the SSRBG Trust has also approved the enlistment of a project coordinator on a part-time basis, for which all necessary clearances are being sought. The latter is expected to undertake a thorough assessment of works to be carried out and to submit recommendations for implementation with a view to improve the image of the garden and regain its prestige. Moreover, the assistance of Ministry of Public Service, Administrative and Institutional Reform has been obtained to assist the parastatal bodies of my ministry, including the SSRBJ, to undertake the restructuring of the Human Resource Division and other divisions with a view to coming up with a recommendation as regards the human resource requirement in line with the objectives of the SSRBJ and the successful implementation of the above proposed assignment along with all other projects.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Can I know from the Honourable Minister, apart from the 150 million from National Heritage Fund, the yearly budget allocated to the Trust, and how much has been spent to date for this financial year?
Mr. Speaker, as I replied in my answer, we have 150 million rupees which has been earmarked under the National Resilience Fund, and only 50 million rupees has been earmarked for the projects which some has already been started and some which are already at the procurement level. I don't have the information of how much some have been used up till now, but I can inquire about this information.
Thank you. Honourable Minister, being given that the botanical garden is in such a poor state, you have visited, you have seen yourself, reflecting equally poor management, will you consider sacking the board, including the chairman of the trust, and reappointing a new one?
Mr. Speaker, sir, it is not the question of sacking up. It's a question of management. And I can tell you that following to the site visit I did, in fact, we have discussed many issues which I already enumerated. And as I said earlier, the board has approved for a project coordinator, which he will carry out the assessment, and also he will come up with recommendations. So we need to wait and see the result of that.
Next question.
B138, no.
MP Navarre, your question?
Mr. Speaker, sir, it is presumed that by the term non-registered minors, the honourable member is making reference to minors whose birth has not yet been registered. And Mr. Speaker, sir, I wish to inform the House that the process of tardy declaration of birth is a lengthy and a complicated one with numerous challenges, since it involves different key stakeholders along the way, notably the police, the Ministry of Health and Wellness, the District Court, the State Law Office, the Attorney General's Office, the Registrar of Civil Status, the Regional Civil Status Office. Mr. Speaker, sir, my ministry acts as facilitator in this process to tardily declare a child, which includes encouraging and helping the parents of undeclared children in gathering missing documents that are required to initiate the procedures for tardy declaration of birth. We also make arrangements on behalf of parents for the preparation of affidavit, petition, and the cost of that is also borne by my ministry. We accompany and assist parents to attend court for such applications. We forward the petition to the Attorney General's office and await to obtain conclusion from the AG's office for dispatch to court for a magistrate order to be issued. They're also taking the magistrate order to court for dispatch to the Civil Status Division and accompanying and assisting parents to the Civil Status Office for the tardy registration of birth of their children. Mr. Speaker, sir, according to Section 14, Part 1A of the Civil Status Act of 1981, the biological mother or father have the legal obligation to declare the child, the birth of the child. I am informed that the main challenges faced when inquiring into cases of tardy declaration are mainly the non-cooperative attitude of one or both parents and when the parents are untraceable. With a view to providing more time to parents to declare their child, the Civil Status Act 1981 has recently been amended to extend the delay for declaration from 45 to 60 days. Mr. Speaker, sir, with regard to the question of the honourable member, I am informed that the Child Development Unit of my ministry, that as at date, the number of non-registered minors entrusted to foster families stands at 15. Out of these cases, 6 are awaiting the reply of the Commission on Police on traceability of the parents. 5 are awaiting conclusion from the Ministère Public. 1 is awaiting the magistrate order, while in the remaining 3 cases, orders for declaration have already been granted by the magistrate, but unfortunately, the parents have become untraceable again. Consequently, the assistance of the Commissioner of Police has been sought to trace them back.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. J'ai moi-même, ici, dans cette auguste assemblée, en plusieurs occasions, soulevé la question d'enfants non déclarés. Quand un enfant n'est pas déclaré, on le sait, cet enfant n'a pas accès aux services, différents services, et encore moins au voyage à l'étranger. La ministre pourrait-elle impress upon the Prime Minister's office and the AG so that a fast track be adopted thereon, in spite of the fact that sometimes parents are untraceable?
Mr. Speaker, sir, I have, as I've just mentioned, I appreciate the concern and I share the concern of the Honourable Member of the Opposition concerning tardy declaration of our children. But like I've just mentioned in my main reply, Mr. Speaker, sir, the process itself is a lengthy one. We have tried to streamline and to shorten the procedure as much as is humanly possible. But we do come across cases where the clients are imprisoned, the parents are untraceable. There are so many different scenarios that sometimes bring us 10 steps back in the process.
Merci. En lien avec la question, il y a la problématique de l'adoption. La ministre est-elle en mesure de dire à la Chambre où en est-on avec le projet de loi sur l'adoption?
Mr. Speaker, sir, I will need notice of the question. Thank you.
Next question.
B1362.
Mr. Speaker, bringing the protection and welfare of persons with disabilities bill in Parliament is one of the top priorities of our government, and effort is being made to introduce the bill in Parliament at the earliest possible. I have already explained in my previous replies to PQB 1198 in 2022, B270 in 2021, and B406 in 2020, all the works and consultations that have been done so far. I do not intend to dwell in details on what I have already said. However, with regards to the present status of the bill, I would like to inform the House that the draft bill has been submitted to the Solicitor General Office on 1st August 2023 for finalization. So all I can say is the bill is in progress.
So, maybe we take a last question.
B1363.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I wish to refer the Honourable Lady to the statement I made on 25th April 2023 on this issue, whereby I highlighted, amongst other issues, the short-term measures taken by the NHDC. The House may wish to note that several short and medium-term remedial measures have now already been implemented. These include: 1, the excavation of a cut-off drain by the Road Development Authority's contractor opposite the main entrance of the housing estate to prevent flow of water from the plot of land that belongs to Société Sainte-Marie-Ussonia. 2, the excavation of an earth drain from the low-lying point of the housing estate into the sugarcane field belonging to the Compagnie de Gros Cailloux Limité, so as to evacuate water accumulation, or rather evacuate accumulated water. 3, clearance of the existing cut-off drain from a nearby morcellement, so as to direct water flow into an existing absorption drain. 4, further excavation and enlargement of the drain, as well as excavation of a retention pond downstream by the NHDC with the agreement and permission of Compagnie de Gros Cailloux Limités. Surface runoff is channeled into the said pond, and the same overflows into the natural water path in the sugarcane field. 5, excavation of trenches at the back of housing block A to avoid accumulation of water on the premises of housing units A06 and A12, and to divert external surface runoff. And finally, 6, excuse me, rendering of a boundary wall at the back of housing block A to prevent water penetration from off-site surplus water. Of course, all this information has been provided to me by the NHDC. Now, I'm also told that the effectiveness of these measures is being regularly monitored, in fact on a weekly basis, I'm told, by the NHDC staff. With regard to long-term measures, which inter alia I am informed include construction of a new drain along the boundary of the housing estate constructed by the National Empowerment Foundation. I understand there's an adjoining housing estate that was built by the National Empowerment Foundation. So there will be construction of a drain running along that boundary, as well as a detention pond. I suppose that must be a retention pond. That's been written detention pond in my answer. And dredging of existing waterway, construction of earth drain, so-called swale, from the existing absorption pit to the, it's again written detention pond, I'm not a technician, so I don't know which, and a cut-off drain at the entrance of the site, and construction of a culvert as recommended by the Land Drainage Authority. I'm informed by the NHDC that the design and preparation of bidding documents in relation to those works is in progress. And as to part B, to the question, I am informed that the Committee of Inquiry has indeed, that the Committee of Inquiry set up to investigate into the circumstances of the earlier incident, has now completed its inquiry. And as to part C, I'm informed that the NHDC is presently studying the conclusions of the Commission of Inquiry, and in the light of the report, will address the issue raised at part C of the question.
Monsieur le Président, j'ai effectivement pris connaissance du statement de l'honorable ministre, mais les faits sur le terrain ne sont pas exactement comme dans la réponse du ministre. L'honorable ministre est-il au courant de la crainte et l'inquiétude des habitants de la résidence Vétiver et de leur état moral, car ils ont l'impression que les travaux ont été abandonnés?
No, Mr. Speaker, sir, I'm not aware. There is one person residing on the estate who regularly phones me asking for compensation. That is the only person I hear of. But the Honourable Lady well knows that my door is wide open to her and to all members of the I was going to say constituency, but of the Assembly. So if there are any concerns, please do not hesitate to contact me, and I shall instruct the NHDC to act as appropriate.
Time over. The table has been advised that PQ B 1360, B 1366, B 1370, B 1377, B 1378, B 1376, B 1375 have been withdrawn. Motion.
Yes, Mr. Speaker. I move that all the business on today's order paper be exempted from the provisions of paragraph 2 of Standing Order 10.
Seconded. The question is that all the business on today's order paper be exempted from the provisions of paragraph 12, standing order 10. Those in favour say aye, those against say no. Ayes have it.
Statements by ministers.
Mr. Gandhi.
Mr. Speaker, sir, with your kind permission, I will make a statement on the payment of the monthly interim allowance of 1,000 rupees to the employees of the bus industry whose conditions of service are governed by the NRB. Sir, in 2019, government announced that the interim allowance of 1,000 rupees, which was initially paid to employees whose salaries and conditions of service were governed under the Pay Research Bureau, would be extended to all the employees of the National Transport Corporation, irrespective as to whether their trades fell under the PRB or NRB, and was subsequently extended. On my assumption of office in 2019 as Minister of Land Transport and Light Rail, the other workers of the bus industry came to see me and accordingly made a plea that a fair consideration would need to be given to all workers across the industry and not to discriminate between different classes and categories of workers. I did not remain insensitive to the pleas of these bus employees who were instating a level playing field among the workers of the bus industry. With the approval of government, I even went further and thereafter extended the payment of this interim allowance of 1,000 rupees to the whole bus industry, including employees of the individual bus operators. The financial implications thereof to government amounted to some 67 million rupees. Mr. Speaker, sir, thereafter, in the wake of the increase in bus fares in May 2022, government agreed that the monthly interim allowance of 1,000 rupees should be included in the basic salary of the employees of the bus industry and paid by the bus operators. All bus operators were accordingly informed. With the integration of the interim allowance in their basic salary, the bus workers would be eligible to a higher pay package. As such, this interim allowance of 1,000 rupees will be increased by other benefits and allowances drawn by the bus employees in terms of overtime, attendance bonus, end-of-year bonus, refund of leaves, and spread over, and such other allowances which will increase their basic salary. Mr. Speaker, sir, whilst the National Transport Corporation and Divla Transport Company Limited integrated the interim allowance in the salary of their employees, the other bus operators informed the ministry that they could not meet the cost thereof and refused to effect the necessary integration. Accordingly, in the context of the budgetary exercise 2023-2024, necessary arrangements were made at the request of my ministry for the funding of the interim allowance by government. The Ministry of Finance, Economic Planning and Development has to this end earmarked the relevant funding under the vote of the National Land Transport Authority. On this line, item B15 of the Annex to Budget 2023 to 2024 made provision for the integration of the 1,000 rupees interim allowance in the basic salaries of bus industry workers as from January 2023, and an amount of 120 million rupees has been earmarked to that effect to cater for the payment and integration of the interim allowance for some 6,000 bus workers. A new mechanism is being devised to cater for the disbursement of the interim allowance payment to the bus industry employees and to allow for a more suitable, transparent and rational basis to determine the quantum to be made to them based on the additional hours performed and bonuses to which they are entitled. Pending the finalization of the above mechanism, my ministry and the NLTA have already released the payment of the interim allowance for the month of January to September 2023 on 20th October 2023 to the major bus operators for them to effect payment to the relevant employees. The arrears have been paid as a lump sum amounting to 16,200 rupees and have been computed on the basis of the ratio in force in the industry as regards the yearly salary compensation. Arrangements have been made for the interim allowance to be fully integrated in the basic salary of these employees as from October 2023. All bus operators were requested to submit their claims to the NLTA by 13th October 2023 so that the latter could arrange for the disbursement of this interim allowance. However, there are still some bus operators, namely the individual bus operators, who have not yet submitted their claims. In the absence thereof, the NLTA, unfortunately, is not in a position to process the payment in favor of these employees. Mr. Speaker, sir, With regard to some of the individual bus operators who are submitting their claims gradually, arrangements are being made for the payment to be made in November 2023. Sir, once the new mechanism becomes operational, necessary adjustments will be made to enhance the disbursement methodology. I also take this opportunity to make an appeal to the bus operators to promptly submit their claims to the NLTA so that the latter can release the disbursement and for the employees not to be unduly penalized. Mr. Speaker, sir, the above decision demonstrates in unequivocal terms the importance that employees of the bus industry hold for government. In fact, the integration of the interim allowance of 1,000 rupees in the basic salaries validates the token of our appreciation, recognition, and commitment that this government has in uplifting these workers who, through the provision of transport accessibility from the break of dawn till late at night, have contributed to the development of the country, as well as allowing thousands of our citizens to reach their place of work or schools or their homes. This is why, Mr. Speaker, sir, we have always been very attentive to their pleas, and to the extent possible, we have tried to give a positive consideration to their request. I thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Mr. Speaker, sir, further to my statement to the House on 24th October 2023, I would like to provide an update on latest developments regarding the deteriorating humanitarian crisis in Gaza. After an unsuccessful attempt of the United Nations Security Council to release a statement on 8th October 2023, the Security Council met on several instances to consider draft resolutions introduced respectively by Russia on 16 October 2023, Brazil on 18 October 2023, the United States on 25 October 2023, and a counter-resolution by Russia on 25 October 2023 without any breakthrough. Following the deadlock at the UN Security Council, Jordan and Mauritania requested jointly for the resumption of the 10th Emergency Special Session of the United Nations General Assembly to address the crisis in Palestine. The 10th Emergency Special Session resumed its sitting on 26 October 2023 in New York. Debates were suspended on 27 October to allow the United Nations General Assembly to take action on a draft resolution proposed by Jordan and 40 other countries entitled, I quote, "Protection of Civilians and Upholding Legal and Humanitarian Obligations," end of quote. The resolution condemns all acts of violence against Palestinian and Israeli civilians and recalls, I quote, "the need to uphold the principles of distinction, necessity, proportionality, and precaution in the conduct of hostilities," end of quote. Thereafter, the Jordanian resolution was put to vote on Friday, 27 October 2023, and was adopted by 120 votes in favor, 14 against, and 45 abstentions. Mauritius voted in favor of the Jordanian resolution. Debates in 10th Emergency Special Session resumed on 30th October 2023 and are ongoing. Mauritius will make a statement, A, calling for a humanitarian ceasefire and to stop the human catastrophe unfolding in Palestine. B, reiterate all initiatives to be undertaken in accordance with international law and the UN Charter to find immediate solutions to release all innocent civilians being held captive without condition. C, only a two-state solution to the conflict in Palestine based on relevant UN resolutions and international law, which envisage the establishment of an independent, viable, and prosperous state of Palestine within secure and recognized borders, living in peace alongside the state of Israel, will ensure long-lasting peace and stability in the region. I thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Bill's first reading.
Si vous me le permettez, Monsieur le Président, Je propose que ce projet de loi, le French Speaking Union number 15 of 2023, soit présenté en première lecture.
Motion seconded.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I move that the Mauritius Agricultural Marketing Amendment Bill be read the first time.
Seconded.
Public Bill second reading.
Mr. Speaker, sir, with your permission, I move that the Mauritius Commercial Bank Foundation Amendment Bill number 14 of 2023 be read a second time. Mr. Speaker, sir, allow me to give a brief historical perspective for a complete understanding of this bill. The MCB Foundation was founded in 1988 by the Mauritius Commercial Bank to mark its 150th years of existence. It was established as a body corporate under the MCB Foundation Act 1990 with the objective of granting annually a scholarship to enable abroad to a Mauritian student to read for a first degree course not exceeding 4 years in duration. The scholarship covering full tuition fees, airfares and living allowances as approved by the board is awarded on the economic side on the basis of the ranking of a student on a combined list after the State of Mauritius scholarship. The name of the MCB Foundation laureate is announced along with the names of the State of Mauritius and the additional laureates. Mr. Speaker, sir, since its creation, the MCB Foundation has continuously strived to uplift the aspiration of our youth by granting scholarships to deserving Mauritian students. To date, a total number of 34 students have benefited from this life-changing opportunity, a gateway to higher education overseas offered by the Foundation. Over the past 5 years, some 37 million rupees have been disbursed by the MCB Foundation. Currently, the Foundation is sponsoring 4 laureates with an annual cost of 2.5 million rupees per laureate. It is also worth pointing out that many of the laureates have opted for higher studies in economics and finance, and one has chosen a law degree with finance-related modules. As part of the journey, the laureates are expected to serve the country and the institution that has believed in and sponsored them. There is, however, no bonding system that formalizes this requirement. In this context, the House would wish to know that 4 former laureates are currently working at the MCB, 9 others are working in other organizations in Mauritius, while the rest are either working overseas or studying. It is worth noting that, as at now, the MCB Foundation, in line with its act, requires its laureates to pursue studies in fields such as economics, accountancy, computer science, or related disciplines. However, the MCB Foundation Board has pointed out that while traditional subjects like accounting and finance, economics, business and management are still offered at highly rated universities, there are now new emerging programs that match current and future employment needs. These include fields like development studies, financial engineering, data science, risk management compliance, international management, finance and law, operational research and statistics, cybersecurity, automation and robotics. Unfortunately, these do not fall within the ambit of the scholarship. In light of these developments, and to respond to the present and future needs of the evolving world of work, the MCB Foundation Board has considered the possibility of offering scholars more flexibility in their choice of fields of study while keeping abreast of the ongoing developments in the banking sector, such as increased investment and digital transformation. On the other hand, it is also believed that the possibility of providing scholarships in these new areas will contribute to further building and strengthening capacity in key future sectors of industry and provide a competitive edge to the public and private sectors on the regional and global scene. Mr. Speaker, sir, let me now come to the amendments being proposed. As members of the House probably know, as per the existing legislation, Section 4 of the MCB Foundation Act provides for a scholarship to be awarded each year to a Mauritian student, A, ranking after those who have been awarded a State of Mauritius scholarship on the economic side at the Cambridge High School certificate examinations or any equivalent examination held the previous year. B, who has passed in 3 subjects at principal level, including economics and accountancy or mathematics. And C, who intends pursuing his studies at university level in economics, accountancy, or computer science, or in such or any other subject related to finance or economics as may be approved by the board. The MCB Foundation Board has requested my ministry to bring the following amendments to the MCB Foundation Act. In Section 4B, the words, including economics, accountancy, and mathematics, to be deleted and replaced by, as provided under Part 3, Subpart C, economic side of the second schedule of the Education Regulation 1957. It is to be noted that Part 3, Subpart C of the second schedule to the Education Regulations 1957, referred to here, provides for the different subjects to be taken by students in accordance with the syllabuses approved for the Cambridge High School certificate in respect of the economic side. In Section 4C, the Section 4C to be deleted and replaced by the following. 4C, who intends pursuing his studies at university level in disciplines falling under the economics, accountancy, finance, or information technology, or in any other related subject as may be approved by the board. With the amendments proposed by the MCB Foundation Board, the choice of subjects to be eligible for the MCB Foundation Scholarship is being enlarged. Furthermore, the proposed amendments will not entail any consequential amendment to the Education Act 1957. This bill, Mr. Speaker, sir, thus provides for amendments to be brought to this Section 4 of the Principal Act, MCB Foundation Act 1990, to inter alia enlarge the range, the spectrum of subjects for candidates to be eligible for the MCB Foundation Scholarship. Accordingly, Clause 3 of the bill makes provision for existing paragraphs B and C to be repealed and replaced by the following paragraphs. Paragraph B, who at principal level has passed in 3 subjects, being subjects listed in Part 3, Subpart C of the second schedule to the Education Regulations 1957, and who intends to pursue his studies at university level in a discipline falling under economics, accountancy, finance, information technology, or such related subject as the board may approve. Mr. Speaker, sir, I avail myself of this opportunity to recognize and improve upon an initiative that has not only positively impacted the lives of so many young Mauritian talents, but has also demonstrated the unwavering commitment of one of our most esteemed institutions, the Mauritius Commercial Bank, to our nation's progress. Allow me then to extend my heartfelt appreciation to the MCB Foundation for their unwavering commitment to the development of our human capital in line with our country's developmental agenda. They have demonstrated that businesses can be powerful agents of change, shaping the future of our nation through their support to education and the empowerment of our youth. I can only applaud the MCB Foundation in its endeavor to supplement the existing 72 scholarships offered by the Mauritian government. Mr. Speaker, sir, I now commend the bill to the House. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Seconded.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. To begin with, I join the mover of the bill to congratulate and recognize the MCB for this, what I will call an excellent scholarship scheme. In fact, it has rewarded high achievers in the eco side, what we call economic side. 34 students have already benefited from it. Some of them are my former friends and students, whom I'm saluting. Perhaps it is high time for other prestigious organizations to come up with similar scholarship schemes to help the country in nation building. When we are helping these students, directly or indirectly, we are rewarding effort. We are rewarding hard work. And so far, from memory I can say, the MCB scholarship has never been subject to any controversy because high deserving students have been benefiting from it, and after completing their studies, many of them have returned to serve the motherland. When I'm talking today at this moment, there is definitely a tinge of nostalgia because the person who brought this bill in 1990 is a person who is very close to me. Then he was close, now also. I'm talking about former Minister of Education, at that time it was Minister of Education, Arts and Culture, Mr. Armugam Pauswaman. He was the one who brought this bill in 1990 over here. The creation of this foundation was announced, as the mover of the bill said rightly, in the context of the 150th anniversary of the Mauritius Commercial Bank in 1988, to reward deserving students for higher studies in ECOSI. And the first awardee, the first recipient, in 1989 happened to be a schoolmate of mine, of the MGI. The first recipient, yes, I see Mr. Gobin looking at me, yes, it was a Ghanaian. And his name is Bhavesh Naik of the MGI in 1989. So we celebrated it at school, this scholarship. And that is why I go down memory lane when I'm talking about this scholarship. And this is the year I sat for the HSE at the MGI, but benefited from another scholarship. So a scholarship, when someone wins a scholarship, it changes destinies. It changes lives of people. And I would like here to quote the recent recipient of this scholarship, the last one, Gyan Digamba, who is the recipient of the 34th MCB Foundation Scholarship. And Gyan says it very clearly somewhere. Cette bourse représente pour moi la clé vers un avenir meilleur. Je viens d'une famille modeste et cette bourse va me permettre de faire mes études en Rotman Commerce à l'étranger dans la prestigieuse University of Toronto au Canada. Perhaps well-to-do families do not realize this. How come? A scholarship overnight changes lives of people. And I can testify that, being the recipient of at least one or two different scholarships. as a student. So MCB Foundation has done something really laudable. And there is a saying, all the top achievers I knew, they have one characteristic. They are lifelong learners. Because we realize the mind is not a vessel to be filled with knowledge only, but a fire to be ignited. And incidentally, the 33rd beneficiary of this scholarship, I happened to peruse her statements she gave publicly and found that beautiful, which should be recorded. She is Lubna Sadafel, the recipient of MCB Foundation Scholarship of QEC, which we normally call QUEC. She will be pursuing her studies in mathematics, operational research, statistics, and economics, which will equip her with a pool of skills, namely in fintech and data sciences. That is why broadening, this is what the bill is doing. The bill is broadening, is enlarging the scope of choice of subjects for the award of Mauritius Commercial Bank Foundation Scholarship. And incidentally, when I go to Hansard, and one or two things which struck me was when the three honorable members who intervened on this bill, the three of them intervened 1 minute each. Only 1 minute, each one of them. But they said a lot of pertinent things in 1990. And one of them said, I am referring to Mr. Kailash Rui, second member of VACWA and Floreal. At that time he said something. May I suggest, in relation to the objects of the foundation, that the main one is a bit too restrictive. At that time already, in 1990, he was saying the range of subjects for the scholarship was restrictive. And it is good we are coming with this amendment, because many things have changed, are changing, and we have to adapt to the new needs of our nation. And these students, I think, the brightest of the bright, these are students who ultimately benefit from these scholarships. Sometimes, some of them, they are not laureates. And fortunately, this comes afterwards. I don't know. I am not expert at writing bills, but there is one thing I would request the mover of the bill to enlighten me, perhaps. It is not a controversy, just something. I'm reading on the second page, Section 4, Principal Act amended. I'm reading Part 3C. Who intends to pursue his studies. I don't know whether it is advisable to put his/her also. Okay? Because I have been a student and a rector of a co-ed school always. And that is why I have always put his/her, recognizing that both my boys and my girls, they are on the same footing. So I don't know if it is a lapsus, or I don't know. I am not an expert in drafting bills. Later on, I don't know, but for the time being, no. This is bad. This never wish ill for your friend, brother. Get good education. All right? And immediately I come to Sadafel, who will teach you something. She said, Sadafel said, that is why we say, brilliant minds and above average minds, they are not like common mortals here. Not only their brains are bright, their hearts also. And you will distinguish those who are listening to us. They will know from where such a comment comes. They will know. Because there is no comparison. between gems and other things, which I will not, in my English, I will not look down upon. I will not throw my intelligence on them. I will not. He had better shut up rather than making irrelevant comment. Coming to Sadafol, the beneficiary of the 33rd scholarship. All right? She said, she also believes that schools should train students to become more resilient in this competitive world. When we compete, it is not necessary we become inhuman. When we compete, whether it is politically or otherwise, I teach that, I preach that. People do not understand. It will take time to teach them. Perhaps the system of education has to change. And let me refer, it was not there, but let me refer to an incident, because teachers are like that. Recently, in a village, a student happened to scratch a car, a teacher's car. And what happened? The teacher removed her sandal and beat the child because the student had scratched the car. My car also is scratched often, not literally, figuratively. Some people have a problem with my car. Because little knowledge people are like that. They don't have that grandeur d'âme. And teachers are not supposed to remove sandal and beat these people. Teachers' heart have to be great. Then they will come and tell such and such school students were not allowed in tuition or what else, and they themselves, they came from such schools. Publicly, I'm saying that. Coming back, what Sadafol said. She also believed the school should train students to become more resilient. We condemn what the teachers did because we don't want students to become like that. Become humane. Resilient in this competitive world, we're underlining the importance of emotional intelligence. I am a proponent, a fervent proponent of emotional intelligence. If we had it, we wouldn't have reacted like some. We wouldn't have. This is important in life. Which she said was critical in alleviating rising individual anxieties and psychological problems during COVID-19. But she also said something which has to be recorded. The 33rd recipient of the MCB Foundation Scholarship, former QEC student, believes that 3 elements are needed in Mauritian society to encourage young people to return home. It is important we address this also, because we are talking about an important scholarship, because we are talking about the students who are going abroad, who are getting the best of the best. 3 things. 1, meritocracy. 2, transparency. 3, accountability. And what is the rationale, political rationale? Tu as faire pire que moi, moi pour faire pire que toi. There is a competition, tacit competition here, that we are going to be worse than you. We are not going to correct the problem. As long as this will go on, it will be a problem. An eye for an eye, like Gandhi said, will become blind. That is why this scholarship goes to deserving students. And it is important we broaden the scope. We make an appeal to one and all, those who can, to hold the hands of especially needy students. And there are, through this bill, I am thanking not only the MCB, which deserves it, but all other donor organizations, people, foundations, who help the students, especially poor ones, to make their dreams come true. This is the most noble thing that can be done. The MCB Foundation Scholarship, I know, has been able to wipe many a tear of students whose name didn't appear in the list of laureates. But they are equally deserving. Our country is fast changing. Our needs are new. New needs are coming. And it is good we are coming with this bill. This foundation has done a lot of good, has brought hope in the lives of many students. On behalf of these 34 students and future prospective beneficiaries of this scholarship, I say thank you to MCB. And we thank the government of Mauritius for catering for changes in choice of subjects, which will enable more prospective students to be considered for that scholarship. Mr. Speaker, sir, the parenthesis that I had to draw was not intentional, but when people look for it, they should get it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. First of all, let me thank the mover of the bill, the Vice Prime Minister, for bringing this bill to the House. I think it's not a bill of controversy, and everyone who is debating and bringing their voice to this bill, we are all agreeable that the changes that has to be made, because we are living in a global economy and a global village now that all the students are having new challenges, and like I've said by the previous speaker and the mover of the bill, that our world is changing, and now when we talk about economics, we have to think about what is happening in artificial intelligence, financial aspect, because now we could talk about finance and technology together, fintech. So we see that economics and even every aspect is changing with technology now. So me on this side of the House, we welcome this bill, and we know that we are like broadening the chances for other students to make their dream come true and to have a scholarship. But let me also enlighten my friend that through the leadership of the Prime Minister, Pravin Kumar Jagnnath, since 2014, when this government has been in power, there has been so many scholarships that has been brought and has been brought for the poor. And we talk about the 24 additional scholarships based on academic merits and social criteria. We talk about postgraduate scholarship scheme in digital technologies. Recently, we have brought the Sir Anirudh Jagnnath National Scholarship Scheme. We talk about the HSC Professional Scholarship Scheme. And we also talk about scholarship to learners with disabilities, which has brought many changes for many of our youth in this country. And when we are talking about giving chances to our youth, and we have to convince them to come back, but we can't force them because they want to have challenges, and this country has many challenges to take on. We see through this government how many opportunities have been given to many here. If you take the example of bright students like the governor of the Bank of Mauritius, Mr. Harvesh Sigulam, who has done his SC when he was inform free, and his HSC when he was supposed to do his SC. And they are among the brightest minds who are leading the governor's bank today. And we think about youth who has been given chance, like Mr. Heman Dutta from Rosebay Sugar State, less than 36 years old. He is already the director, and he's performing very well and very good into accounting and economics. But to tell you, Mr. Speaker, sir, for me, this bill is important that we broaden. I'm just giving an aspect to say that how this bill is going to change, and it's important that many of companies like MCB and other donors company should think about giving incentive to our youth so that they can pursue their studies and in different fields of studies so that they can bring new technologies and new ventures and new opportunities in our country. Mr. Speaker, sir, as has been said by the previous speaker, I was also reading the bill when it was introduced in 1990. And also I saw that Mr. Kailash Rui, the second member of Aquaforal, he also mentioned about this. And it's important that we understand that the importance that this bill is going to bring to the students. And we know that many of the students will have the chance to work at the MCB. Usually how they do it is they are as if guaranteed a place of work as MCB if they come back. This is one of the incentives that many of the companies are giving when they are giving scholarship for the students. Mr. Speaker, sir, I won't be long. I will be ending on a quote of Nelson Mandela, where Nelson Mandela said, "Education is a great engine of personal development. It is through education that the daughter of a peasant can become a doctor, that the son of a mine worker can become the head of a mine, that the child of a farm worker can become the president of a great nation." I thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir, at the very outset, allow me to congratulate the mover of the bill, the Honorable Lila Devi Dukan-Luchman, for bringing to the House the MCB Foundation Amendment Bill of 2023. The proposed amendments to the Mauritius Commercial Bank Foundation Act of 1990 through the Mauritius Commercial Bank Foundation Amendment Bill of 2023 represent a landmark change by expanding scholarship eligibility for this esteemed award. This legislation will allow a wider range of outstanding students from diverse backgrounds and academic interests to benefit from the Foundation's generous scholarships. This aligns with the spirit of inclusion and opportunity that has defined the Foundation since its inception. I therefore urge members of the Parliament who has at heart the interests of our children to support this amendment, which will enable the MCB Foundation to empower even more promising youth to achieve their academic dreams and in turn enrich the future of our nation. Mr. Speaker, sir, when the MCB Foundation Act was passed in 1990, it created a valued scholarship to sustain Mauritian students pursuing specific degree courses. This was undoubtedly a worthy initiative at the time. However, over 30 years have passed and the landscape of academia and the job market has changed dramatically. The subjects prioritized for this scholarship, economics, accountancy, and mathematics, reflect the needs and realities of the 1990s. The proposed amendment to the MCB Foundation Act acknowledges key changes in the academic landscape since 1990. The original disciplines of economics, accountancy, and mathematics remain vitally important. However, in our interconnected world, success requires a wider view. Today, in 2023, our nation's students have a broader range of interests and aims. The potential for excellence spans many disciplines beyond those originally set out for this award. The time has come to expand the eligibility criteria for the MCB Foundation Scholarship. By opening this scholarship to outstanding students across more fields, we can empower Mauritian youth to maximize their talents as they forge diverse career paths to serve our nation's future through competence and capability. Mr. Speaker, sir, I also associate myself with the amendment proposed by Dr. the Honorable Ganga Prasad, okay, on Section 4, Principle A, amended Section C, who intends to pursue his or her studies at university level. The amendments outlined in Section 4 of the Principal Act allow for this crucial adjustment, bringing the Act into alignment with the current educational and professional environment. I believe it is not only prudent but necessary to enact these changes to the eligibility criteria. Doing so will uphold the spirit of opportunity that has defined this scholarship since its inception. I urge honorable members on both sides of the House in supporting this bill to equip Mauritian students to realize their full potential as scholars and leaders who will further bolster the solid grounding that this government has been engaged into to secure the future of our citizens. By expanding scholarship eligibility beyond these fundamental foundational subjects, we empower students to tap into the links between diverse fields. Economics, finance, information technology, and more have become deeply intertwined. Nurturing expertise across these related areas is crucial for Mauritius to remain competitive. Equally important, enabling students to follow their unique intellectual passions fuels the innovation that drives progress. The proposed modifications recognize that we need people who not only have expertise in traditional domains, but also those who creatively bridge disciplines to break new grounds. Looking ahead, a holistic and forward-thinking approach to education is essential. Our students are hungry for knowledge, curiosity, and opportunity across many subjects, can advance our nation in a complex global landscape. By updating the Mauritius Commercial Bank Foundation Act, we open the doors of possibility for our youth to gain the diverse skills and vision we need to flourish. Allow me to express my heartfelt gratitude to the MCB Foundation in this respect, and also to congratulate the Honorable Lila Devidukan Lachman, Vice Prime Minister and Minister of Education, Tertiary Education, Science and Technology, for bringing to the House such an important piece of legislation, which are an investment for our collective goods and future. I thank you for your attention.
Remember that the state correct sitting for 30 minutes.